Hi, everybody. Today I have my friend Suzy Ashworth here on the podcast. Suzy, I'm so excited to have you here. Thank you so much for coming.
Thank you so much for inviting me. I'm excited.
Okay, why don't we start really quickly by you describing what is it that you do right now and who do you do it for?
Yeah, so right now I am a quantum transformation and embodiment coach, and I help female entrepreneurs create six-figure breakthroughs in their business fast.
I love it. I love it. And we're going to go through this because you didn't just start out this way. In fact, this is a recent pivot that
Yeah.
you're making. And we're going to get into this. We are going to get into this. But first, I want everyone to kind of get a sense for the before and after so that they know kind of like the journey we're going to guide them through. So I want to start way back. I want to start at the point where entrepreneurship was not really the main thing that you wanted to do in life. We all kind of start with a very traditional path of like, okay, I'm just going to go to college and have a family and have a job and then retire. So I want you to take me back to that time before entrepreneurship, right before it. What were you doing and what did you think your life was going to be like at that point?
Yeah, so in all honesty, I don't think I was very ambitious. I didn't think of myself as being extremely academic because I wasn't. And I was really more about the fun. And I was one of these kids who didn't really, you have the cool kids and the nerdy kids and the sporty kids and the arty kids. I wasn't in any one of those particular groups, but I could interact with everybody from the various different places. So I'd end up having like weird little adventures with people over here and then weird little adventures with people over there. And everything was just kind of fun. I wasn't hugely focused. And then when I was 19, my foster mother, who had brought me up from the age of 3 months, she passed away. And that was really my awakening. And at that point in time, I think I'd probably worked in every pizza restaurant in Canterbury, which is where I was brought up. I had dropped out of my A levels, which maybe if you're in the States, it's the bit in between maybe high school and college, maybe. I was 19.
Mm-hmm.
So I dropped out of my kind of lead into university and I had to ask myself, what do you want? And probably more than that, I was asking myself, who do you want to be?
Mm-hmm.
Because I hadn't really been there for my mum while she was sick. And there was a huge amount of guilt and a huge amount of shame about the fact that I wasn't there for her in her last days. And at the time, my ambition levels were, I want to be the manager of Pizza Hut.
Mm-hmm.
And it was like, why the hell did I want to be the manager of Pizza Hut? And what I was really clear on is that if I didn't do something differently, then that was my future. And whilst I didn't know what I did want to do, after she went, I knew that that isn't what I was destined to do. And so that was really the path of me starting my path officially, more intentionally.
Yeah. What was your first thing that you did that was had nothing to do with Pizza Hut, that had nothing to do with something traditional, and you went for it? What was that first gateway entrepreneurial venture?
So I didn't really step into entrepreneurship for many, many years, but the first thing that I did was I went to Ibiza. So probably after about 6 months after she passed, I went to Ibiza and I spent 3.5 months there. And I always say to people, Ibiza changed my life.
Mm-hmm.
So for those of you who are watching and who are like, where's Ibiza? For maybe you guys in the States, it's the equivalent of Miami, or if you're in Australia, it might be your Bali, but it's a really beautiful party island in Europe, and it just attracts really creative, interesting, crazy people. And I went to Ibiza. I was obviously grieving, but I didn't, I wasn't consciously grieving, but I met all of these amazing people who were doing Ibiza in the summer and India in the winter. And I was like, whoa, There is a whole big wide world out here, and I get to discover it. So it really just opened my eyes to more. And yeah, I met some incredible people. And from that point, I was away from the UK for 4.5 years.
Yeah. What were you doing? What was your sustenance? What was your job in there?
I was mainly partying. I was doing a lot of drinking. But I got introduced to sales officially. So I spent 3.5 months in Ibiza. I then went to Amsterdam, spent 1.5 years there in 2 stints, and then 1.5 years in Thailand. And it was I had a multiple array of jobs, but actually it was whilst I was away, I first got introduced to selling, and I learned how to do cold calling. And that was another thing that really changed my life. As an entrepreneur, as a business owner, as any person in life, we are all in the job of sales. And it's so interesting to me how so many people feel icky about it, they loathe it. And I've just taken on an assistant, and she will ultimately be a salesperson. It's her first job out of school. She is 17 years old. And I'm like, I'm so excited for you. This is going to change your life, whether she's with me for a long time or goes off somewhere else. It's like, I am so grateful that I had that opportunity to learn how to be resilient, how to accept rejection, how to, have people say no, 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 and not take it personally. That's one of the big things I learned about being away.
If I asked you, what was the biggest lesson or couple of lessons that you learned from all that time cold calling and learning about sales, what do you think were those lessons that were the foundation of your attitude towards sales for the rest of the time?
You just never accept no for an answer. Always know that a no is a not yet, and just never take it personally. People say often, but I've told everybody that I've told everybody about my offer, and I'm like, how many times did you tell them? And they're like, once. I'm like, are you joking me? Like every day, 6 times a day, and it's okay, because we're in the business of serving people. And when you can understand that what you're doing is a gift, and when you're holding it back, you're denying people of the transformation that they want so desperately, everything shifts.
I think that you made a really good point, because a lot of the things that we hear about putting ourselves on social media is, we learn a lot about sharing of our lives and sharing of ourselves. And because we're in it, we want to kind of have a mix, right? I want to be talking about myself for a little bit today, and then I want to talk about my program a little bit more. And because we're in it, we see that variety. But on the other side, that person is not hooked into the INA channel all day long. So if I'm just pitching once a week, they may miss it. They may not even know that I'm selling anything for a very long time. And here I am in my head saying like, no, but I talk about it every day. And so I think you hit a really, really important point that people need to walk away with, is that consistency of telling people what you do.
Yes, consistency and frequency.
So let me ask you now, what was your first foray into online coaching, this weird world of teaching something online? Can you tell me what that transition was like?
Yeah, so I've been in business for 7 years this year, which kind of blows my mind a little bit. It makes me almost a veteran. And I decided that I wanted to leave my job, which was working for the Guardian newspaper in their sales department, and set up for myself when I got pregnant with my first son, who is now 9. I didn't actually leave until I got pregnant with my first daughter, who is now 7. And I decided that I wanted to leave because I wanted to be able to say to him, you can do anything that you want in the world. And And I knew that when I was going to work every single day, that I wasn't doing the thing that I was destined to do. Like, again, it was fun. I enjoyed it. I was never stressed. I was good at it, but I wasn't like, yes. My husband always used to say, like, you never talk about work. I'm like, there was nothing to say. It was not interesting to me. And so I left and I retrained as a hypnotherapist, a psychotherapist, and a hypnobirthing practitioner. And I also, after I'd done my hypnotherapy training, I had seen the year before a guy called Mastin Kipp, who used to run a website called The Daily Love, talking about a woman called Marie Forleo. And at the time I was like, yeah, I didn't quite fit. And then as I qualified, I was like, I'm going to check out this Marie Forleo lady. And a couple of months later, she was in a massive launch for B School. And I just thought, I need to know what she's teaching, which was the way that it was pitched. Is this is a business school for people who want to build an online business. And honestly, I don't even really think I knew what I was signing up for, but that was a program that was quite life-changing for me because I didn't know what an email list was. I barely knew what a website was. I just didn't know any of the foundational parts of building a business. And within 3 weeks of starting that program, I had the idea for the Calm Birth School, which was my first business and the world's first video-based hypnobirthing program.
That is amazing. And that ended up getting picked up and now it's being taught all over, isn't it?
Yeah, it's taught all over the world. And I got a book deal with Hay House because of that program. It was another really pivotal moment that changed my life.
So let me tell you, this is kind of how I saw your business, and I'm sure you see it in a completely different way. But like, I have these 3 phases that there are, right? Phase 1, which you just covered for us, which was before online coaching existed, like what you were doing. I wanted to cover that so people can see where you came from, right? That we don't go to college for online coaching, right? Like, this is not something we wake up one day and say we're gonna do. Then phase 2, I really want to talk about you building the one program. I really want to like pause there and tell us a little bit more about that. And your phase 3 is your pivot that you did this year, which was inspired by the pandemic. And I really want you to tell us more about that. So to go in order, let's go through phase 2. You have this program, or you had this program called The One. It is still like, I'm not sure exactly when this is going to go live. I know you're in the process of rebranding because of your pivot. So I don't want to tell people where to go for a website, but
we do still have that.
Okay,
yeah.
So I want you to tell me a little bit of how that program became what it is. Tell us a little bit of what it is, who it's targeted for, and what you were doing in that stage in your business.
Yeah, so really, I have to say that The One is still a relatively new program. And I think this is super important for all of your listeners. I'm not sure how long they've been in business, but I would say that this year, my 7th year, is the year that I really feel like I've come into my own. And the previous 6 years were me experimenting and working out what worked for me, what didn't work for me, and finding my voice. And so I really want to let everybody know that it's okay if you feel like you're winging it. It's okay if not everything is neatly packaged up. So really, the second phase of my business is me being a mindset and messaging coach for entrepreneurs. And I started off focusing solely on people who had baby businesses because I'd had this success with the Calm Birth School, and I had lots of birth workers saying, how have you done that? Like, tell me, like, what's your secret? And I was super clear. I looked at what was happening in B School and I was like, nobody's really doing this specifically for birth workers who had, yes, the same broad needs, but a different mindset. And so that was really my in. I think that one of my superpowers is spotting niches and being able to take something that exists and then repackaging it so it serves a new audience. And so that's what I was really doing when I first went into business mentoring. And I gave myself permission to do that because whilst all my peers were obsessing about vaginas and breastfeeding and everything to do with babies, I was obsessing about marketing and business and how to build a landing page and how to make your website more attractive. And all of that stuff I was just voracious with. And I had a business coach who said to me, what would you do if you already had £1 million in the bank? And my answer was, I'd show other people how to get £1 million in the bank. And she was like, okay, that's what you should be doing. And that was the permission slip that I needed to really embrace the other side of my, of my entrepreneurship. And the one has come about because, again, we can all be a little bit like, I want to do this thing over here, I want to do that thing over here, I want to do this thing over here, I want to do that thing over there. And often in those first kind of 2 to 3 years, you're watching a lot of online entrepreneurs, you're watching a lot of the gurus, and they're coming up with templated methods where if you do this one thing, then you're going to get 10,000 a month. And in my experience, even though I love having all of the things going on, where I made the biggest inroads in my business is when I just focused on one thing for 90 days. Just focus on one thing for 90 days and then see what happens. And so what I did was I created a program that really took all of the things that I have learned over the last, I think it was probably 5 years at that point, and I put it into the equivalent of a Netflix, for a better analogy. And then I said to people, I can help you get to consistent 5K months or have your first 10K launch if you give me 90 days. Come into the one and we will work on it together. And I did it and it was amazing. We had such incredible results. It was just amazing. So I launched it again, and then I launched it again at the start of this year, just as we were about to go into pandemic. And everyone was freaking out. Everyone was freaking out. And because it was literally, I think that I closed my cart on February the 20th, and then March, the whatever the date, it was like, we are in a pandemic, we are locking down. And so I, at that point, was like, okay, everybody relax. We're going to extend the container, so it's going to be 5 months instead of 3 months, just so we can all find our way in this new world, because nobody has a clue what is going on. And what I saw was, in a global pandemic, newbies in business, been in business for 2-3 years, had not been hitting their targets during this time, got amazing results. They were getting better results after 5 months than what they were doing after 90 days. And they were getting good results at 90 days. And when I saw that, I was like, you know what? Let's stay with people for a year. Let's get more coaches in. So people pick their paths. They work in 90-day cycles. We'll get other coaches in to be supporting people through. And we now have the one, which is how to become the one person your dreamboat clients are begging to work with. You focus on one thing for 90 days and you rock it. And we do it for a year. So people have kind of 4 cycles. And it's an amazing program for newbies.
Yeah, and I was reading all about it, and your copy is magnificent, because every single thing on that list, I'm like, yep, I know exactly how every single one of these things feels, feeling like you're throwing spaghetti at the wall, like things are not working, like you're doing all the things, like you are really doing everything that every guru is telling you to do, and you're still not hitting those 5K months, and just thinking, and what is going on? So it was a program that I really wanted you to tell everybody about, so they know that it's an option for them. I want to put links below because I think it's so powerful. So then I want to start talking about phase 3, which is what I call the quantum stuff,
Yeah.
because because I don't know much about it, and I want you to explain to me like I'm a 5-year-old. I've never experienced this before. I don't know what this is, but it clearly was so impactful to you that you decided I am pivoting
Yeah.
altogether. I
Yeah.
am it's not going to be about me talking about the 5K and the 10K months. It's about transformation. So first, before I just completely butcher your story, can you tell us what prompted that change? You had just had a great launch in February, pandemic hits. What happened?
Yeah, so to even give a little bit more context. So in my business, I had my first year in business, I made minus £14,000. My second year in business, I made 125. Second year in business, I think it was 226. Fourth year in business, I made 469. And then my fifth year in business, I made 420. I think I maybe have the years mixed up, but that 420 year was really, really confusing to me.
Mhm.
And I'd been very big on mindset, and I'd been very big on I can double my income, I can double my income. And I wasn't able to double my income. I couldn't work out where that plateau where I'd got stuck in this plateau. And at the same time, last year, my family and we moved to Mexico. And I'd set this intention that Mexico was going to be my most incredible year, this year of discovery. And it really, truly was. And it's part of the reason why we met, because I was able to do a lot more travel in South America, and I ended up going to Ron Wright's mastermind with you, and we hung out in Colombia, which was super fun. But I'd also been to Costa Rica, and I'd done a quantum healing certification. And when I read the sales page for the quantum healing, I was like, what the heck is this? I really didn't understand any of the language, but energetically, I was like, this is the thing I need to do. And so I just signed up, and I spent 10 days in Costa Rica learning this healing modality. And to put it in its most simple terms, with mindset, it's all about how you can control your mind to get external results. So something like hypnobirthing is about how you control your mind to have the impact on your outer body. The quantum field is all of the stuff that is happening around you that is beyond your mind, and is the quantum field. And so I suppose that is it in its most simple form. And I think to ground that into maybe even more real terms, it's a real understanding that we are physical beings, but we are also energetic beings. And we're made up of energy. When we walk into a room and somebody has been angry in that room, even if no one's saying anything, you can feel the energy. That's the energy that's coming off them. When you meet you in person, before you've even said anything, and sometimes you won't even need to smile, but the energy around you is contagious, it's vivacious, it's effervescent. And when you become a quantum master, or not a master, but you're able to play in the quantum field, you are getting better and better at manipulating the energy around you and then working with the energy of other people. So when you become really accustomed to this, you can use your energy to manifest and magnetize and create really incredible results in both your life and business. And that is really what I was playing with the whole time I was in Mexico, and just having more and more different, crazy, amazing, mind-boggling experiences that were all encouraging me to stop thinking within the terms and limitations of my brain and go beyond my mind.
So let me ask you something, as somebody who, like, I identify a lot with you in that we're both very practical, logical, things have to make sense kind of people. And for people like us, like you said, you read the whole quantum sales page and you're like, I don't know what this is, and it makes no sense. So what do you think? What do you attribute the fact that you were able to understand that so deeply? You decided to make it your life's work. How did that transition from I have no idea what this is to this is so important that this is what I have to do? How did that happen?
I think that, and again, I think this relates back to the passing of my mum.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I believe that there is something bigger than us that impacts the way that we think, the way that we feel when we are consciously aware. And so there's a spiritual thing that really quantum and thinking about the quantum field, it makes that spiritual thing that feels quite intangible and quite random, it gives it life for me. That's what it is. So, you know, it's like some people, they will have somebody that they loved deeply pass away. Sometimes I just get a feeling and an energy that that person is there. And it's, what's his name? Albert Einstein says that, or said that, energy cannot be created nor destroyed. And what that means is that all the energy that ever was is still here. And what it also means is all of the energy that ever will be is still here. Your job is to line up with the energy, the thought pattern, the idea, the creative spark, which is already in the universe. And the better you become at lining up with that energy, the easier it is for you to create incredible responses. And it's the same, you can relate it back to people. Like the energy of my mum is still here, even though I can't see her. The energy of me goes beyond my body. So it's abstract, and at the same time, there's so much science that talks about the energy that we can't see. And again, it's becoming in tune with the energy that you're giving off and the energy of the things that you're wanting to call in. Does that make sense?
A little bit. I want you to go and relate it for me because I can see how this would help in definitely in regular life, right? Like you just illustrated, I can walk into a room and really sense what's happening. If I were more in touch with that quantum realm that is outside my body, I imagine that I would be able to figure out what my next steps should be to kind of stay in the right energy. Like, how would I use this in a practical sense? And if you can tie this to business in some way, because you do this for entrepreneurs.
Yeah.
So how do we tie that new ability to manipulate that energy into our businesses? Let's start there.
Okay. So I suppose we'll put it in the context of my year. And I said it was my 5th year, but maybe it's my 6th year in business. I earned £420,000. Mm-hmm. This year, I will finish up on £1.2 million. On the 19th of December, I did a video which I shared with my mastermind saying that this is the year that I will hit 1 million. Now, I had been talking like loosely about becoming a 7-figure entrepreneur, but in my body, didn't really feel it. It was a wish, it was a hope. I didn't really believe it.
Okay.
December 2019, I decided that that was my reality, and I meant it. And when you are very intentional about what it is that you want to create in your business, about what it is that you want to create in your life, there is an energetic shift. You will have seen it. You will have had a client come to you, 2 clients, same individuals, same strategy, same advice, same ability, same capability. One of them, energy is completely aligned with their success. And so who they act, who they become, even you know, you are somebody who is aligned to the energy of a 7-figure entrepreneur. Whether you know it yet or not, I don't know, but that's the energy.
Thank you. I'll take it.
Energy that you give off. So the way that you act, the way that you speak, the way that you think, and the way that you feel creates a different energy that is literally vibrating off you whenever you walk in the room, whenever you're walking out into the world. And the idea about quantum co-creation is that every single thing, so the 7 figures, the £1 million, has its own vibration. My job as Suzy is to vibrate at the same frequency as £1 million, so I can bring that into my reality. You have people who are looking for a partner, and they decide with their intention, what does that partner look like? What do they act like? How do they make me feel? And then they start acting from the place of already being the type of person, feeling like the type of person, acting like the type of person who already has that thing, so that they can meet energetically, they can meet. How do I say that? Am I making sense?
No, I think that I'm getting that, because that sounds a lot like what I've been studying through manifestation, right? So is there an alignment there? What is the difference between manifestation, which essentially means already embody where you're going, right? It's about your language has to be right. It's not, hey, universe, I want a new car. It's, I own the new car. I'm driving the new car. I already have it, right? So that language that I've been learning about in manifestation, is that related to this at all?
I definitely don't think that they sit, or I think it's very aligned. I think that it's very aligned, and it's not necessarily I own the new car, but it's I'm the type of person who has the type of car that I desire. And it's about you and your frequency. I think the difference is, when it comes to quantum healing, is that you are able to, and this is going to sound really crazy, so we talk about it from the manifestation perspective, but with quantum healing, it's looking at an individual who says, I want to create 7 figures, but I feel blocked. I'm unable to get past this same spot every single time. By using the tools within the modality, you can it's almost like going back in time. So maybe not dissimilar to hypnotherapy, when you go into regression, and you can use the tools to energetically heal what is holding people back in the present, so that they are able to then make quantum leaps when it comes to refining their energy and attracting in my case, 7 figures in 10 months in a global pandemic, when I was stuck at 420,000, you know?
This feels huge to me. This feels like, because I mean, we all have it. If anybody's listening to this and they think to themselves, I don't really have a ceiling, that's not me, that's a lie we're telling ourselves. Everybody has a ceiling that they have put there. And so what you're talking about is essentially, there are tools, there's a modality, there's a methodology to remove those ceilings, to firmly believe that there is actually nothing stopping me. And it's not just the belief, because I've been in conversations and I have watched conversations of people saying like, well, yeah, believing that the ceiling is there is not there has nothing to do with you. It's about what you're doing. Well, if you believe the ceiling is there are some things you're not gonna do. Yeah. There's some things you're never gonna step into, because you already believe that it's not possible. So removing the ceiling makes you a more daring person.
Yeah. It makes you, I think as well, there's courage and there's bravery, but there is also, the work is very deeply grounded in self-love and self-appreciation and deservingness, as well as being visionary and bravery and taking that next step. So it's such a... working in quantum transformation is really me knowing that anything is possible. Yeah. And then for me, the more effective I become is I become more effective the more I challenge, the more I catch my own limitations in the way that I think, but also the way I view other people. And when I am able to see people in their highest and then I'm able to use the tools, combine that with helping them to remove their own limitations, that's when real magic can happen.
Can I ask you, first of all, you're opening my mind to this, because I just want to stress something that really lit up the light bulb for me, is that this is not just a belief. There's an actual methodology to get you there. It's not like you can wake up one day and be like, I think I'm gonna stop thinking there's a ceiling. Like there's healing that needs to happen. That's why it's called quantum healing, right?
Yeah.
So you really go back. Can I ask you something? I heard you talk about something called divine self-expression before, and I wanted to know what that has to do with all of this that we're talking about. What is it?
Yeah, I think that when it comes to feeling limited and limitations, one of the first places that you can see and feel it within yourself is your ability to express your desires. You can't create a quantum leap or a quantum transformation in your life if you're unable to voice what it is that you want. And so many people feel ashamed, guilty, worried about being judged, about taking up space, about owning the conversation, about sharing their voice. And so much of being able to take this leap is helping people unlock their voice so that they can step into their own divine self-expression. And it's so interesting to me because often when you start with something like B School, it's very strategic. It's very this, do this, do this, do this. And the one is way more templated and blueprinted. In my pivot, I created a whole experience where we get to talk about expression. We get to use what I call the freedom codes to unlock our capacity to embrace freedom when it comes to wealth, when it comes to emotions, when it comes to time. We get to use the quantum healing to heal the younger version of you that still feels that it's not okay to say what it is that she wants. It's a whole smorgasbord of tools to help people speak their truth, ask for what it is that they desire, and then take the action to back up what it is that they say that they want.
Yeah.
And it's layered. Sorry, I know I'm like,
I want it all.
I just say that it's when you have conversations like this, it's really easy. One, to view the person who is having the conversation to think, wow, they've got it all sorted. Everything is perfect. Nope, don't have it all sorted. Nope, not everything is perfect. Do I get triggered? Yes. Do I notice my own limitations? Yeah. It's a journey. And every time we look to up level, there's a new ceiling, and sometimes it's old stuff that comes up and sometimes it's new stuff. And it's like being prepared. I say go up, but usually it's go down, go deeper, So it's just a process. I think that's what I wanted to say.
Yeah. I love this conversation because I am the kind of person that totally gravitates towards it. Tell me what to do. Tell me what to do.
Yes.
Give me the strategy. Give me the strategy. But even over the past 3 years, having been in this weird online universe that you and I are in, it's become so clear to me that mindset is just a huge aspect of it. So what you're working on is basically like mindset on steroids. It's not just it's not just believing that it's possible. You have to be able to say it, right? To say what you want. Because you know how many people to this day I get on the phone with and they tell me, but I don't want $1 million.
Yeah.
Right. And I'm like, well, it's not about the million. It's about the fact that, put whatever number you want in that sentence, right? Like whatever high number it is, you have to be able to say it out loud. That not just how you want it, but that is completely possible for you. So what you do in your work is take entrepreneurs and tell them, listen, we got to work on that before you can even do anything else. And you've already proven that you can do the steps. So this is like a whole encompassing program that it has everything that you need in it.
I talk about the fact that in order to create quantum shifts, that you're looking to have a physical transformation, an energetic transformation, a conscious transformation, and a subconscious transformation. And I work across all four.
Thank you so much for explaining things to me like I'm a 5-year-old, because brand new to this, I really felt like it was important for everybody who's listening to understand what this is, so we can have a really meaningful conversation from this point forward. Now we all know what this quantum healing is about and why we would need it. So let me tell you, to start winding down, what do you think is a big misconception that people have of you as a successful businesswoman?
Yeah, I think that it is that I don't have any fear, that I'm fearless, and I have fear. I have fear, but I don't let it stop me in my tracks, you know. And I think that I was really, or that I'm perfect. Those two things, I alluded to that earlier on, and I'm on the journey. I think that that's the point. I am on the journey with my clients, and maybe I'm a few steps ahead, and that's amazing, but I am still learning. I'm still learning what it means for me to be divinely self-expressed. Mm-hmm. I'm still catching myself where I don't feel comfortable to say what it is that I really want to say, because of all of the stories that I've told myself about worthiness, deservingness, accepting, being accepted, judgment. And I want people to know that I've seen a huge amount of success whilst living an imperfect life. And you don't have to be perfect to be successful.
I love that so much. So if I were to give you the power to have the whole world listen to what you're saying right now, and they have to do what you are about to tell them to do, and they have to do it within the next 24 hours, what would that thing be?
It would be take action on the one thing that you have been holding back from because you're scared of taking the action, and just do the thing.
I feel like it like totally popped into my brain. It's like, Ina, that's what you have to do. I'm like, no, but I'm scared. Don't make me. But I think that's a really, really good one. Suzy, it's always a pleasure. It's really been too long. Thank you so much for coming here and talk to us about this.
You are very, very welcome. Thank you for having me.